Guten Morgen, good morning. Wir befinden uns heute am Tag 2 unseres Startup Salzburg Weekend 2020, der ersten Online-Edition unseres Startup-Formates. Und ein spannender erster Abend liegt hinter uns. Wir haben gestern ganz tolle Teams zusammengebracht. Es sind aus den 35 Menschen, die sich registriert haben, an diesem Startup-Wochenende dabei zu sein, 10 Teams entstanden. Teilweise wurden auch dann noch externe Leute angeboardet. Und wir freuen uns, mit 10 Teams jetzt in das Wochenende zu starten. Und ja, guten Morgen und ich hoffe, ihr habt alle euren Kaffee bei euch. Ich leider noch nicht, aber ich werde mir noch einen holen dann später. Und wir machen jetzt zusammen eine erste Good Morning Session with Joao. Hello, Joao.
Hello, good morning, everybody.
It's awesome having you with us because the tool we are using, weil das Werkzeug, also das Tool, das wir übers Wochenende verwenden, um diese Konferenz per Videokonferenz abzuhalten, ist ein Tool, das Joao mit seinem Co-Founder Alex gemeinsam gestartet hat. So you started Wordly some weeks, months ago. How long is that ago?
Yeah, the first initial draft was back in September, but then we stopped, and now with this COVID outbreak, we restart this project. So we really active working on it since March, end of March.
Wow. So Joao und Alexander arbeiten ganz intensiv seit März erst an diesem Tool und es ist unglaublich, wie super es schon funktioniert. It's incredible what you did in this short amount of time because it's working out so well. So it's really a cool alternative to all the stuff that is out there already. Und für Veranstaltungen wie die unseren besonders gut geeignet, wenn viele Menschen networken und Workshops gemeinsam machen und sich austauschen und es nicht nur eine One-to-Many-Situation ist, sondern ganz unterschiedliche Gruppensituationen hier möglich gemacht werden. Unsere Morning Session heute, und das ist auch ein Thema, das viele Startups immer wieder verfolgt, ist das Thema Failing Fast. Also schnell rausgehen auf den Markt, schnell Learnings machen, schnell Fehler eingestehen, Fehler zulassen, keine Angst haben, Fehler zu machen, aber dann auch sofort darauf zu reagieren. So, Joao, what I said right now is that failing fast is a very important topic for startups, especially in the beginning, but also later, that you do not hesitate to go out to the market, make a lot of learnings, make a lot of failures, and immediately have an answer to it. And this is now the moment where I hand over to you. And I'm so curious to hear about your story. Also ich bin ganz gespannt jetzt auf die Geschichte von Wordly zum Thema Failing Fast. Dieser Teil der Veranstaltung wird auf Englisch sein, da Joao in der Schweiz sitzt. Ich meine, das würde noch nicht dazu, das heißt noch nicht, dass wir in der Schweiz jetzt alle Englisch sprechen, aber Joao, where are you from?
I'm from Portugal, but I'm living now in Switzerland, as you mentioned.
Okay, so that's why we switched to English here. Yes, the stage is yours. I'm very excited to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rami. Sorry for speaking in English, but I think you will understand. If not, we'll have questions and answers afterwards. Feel free to ask me anything. So let's start. I'm here to talk about rapid prototyping and failing fast, and how we did it at Weirdly. So I want to start to tell you that failing is okay. As Thomas Edison said, I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. And before inventing the light bulb, he failed 9,000 times. And now it's one of the most precious things that we have in our lives. But failing is only okay if you do it quickly and if you learn from it. As Reid Hoffman said as well, if you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you have launched too late. So you can see here on the right side that you can see our first initial version and one of the first calls that we had. So you can see that it's completely different than the current version that you have today, that you are using. You have on the top the conference room and the networking area. We call it networking room at the time. And then you could see the participants that were available and the conversation that we're talking at the same time. And today, when I look back, I'm completely embarrassed with the UX that was developed at that time, because we thought that it was working, because it seems similar to what we have in real life. You have a conference, and after the conference, people go to outside of the conference room and start talking. So we transposed the same concept, but into a virtual space. And okay, this is going to work. But only after trying with the users, we could really see that they were not able to find new people to talk with, to join new conversations. So this first version, it was great that we developed it in just 2 weeks and get feedback, but it was not good enough. So a little bit about myself. As Romy said, I'm João. I'm from Portugal. I have a special feeling about Africa, in particular Angola, where I volunteer for 2 months. And I have 2 cute daughters that very good in my life. And the last 3 years, I've always been developing new projects, always trying to develop things and get feedback and building new things. So I started with a small project on the social impact side. It didn't work. I did another one, which is Take a Market, that was a ticketing system on the blockchain space. I managed to have an event with 2,000 people. Took 1 year to have it, too long. Then I decided, okay, it's not market enough. When going back to Switzerland, I started developing together with Alex the concept of Padly, where we enter into an incubation program here in Switzerland. And now with the COVID, it was nearly impossible to continue the work. So we decided to focus on Virtly. And Virtly is a video platform for interactive and engaging online events, the platform that you are using today. It's great to have many ideas. A lot of people put ideas on the paper, define it, try to think about it, evaluate which one is the best one that I should focus on. But then only those that are really brave can execute it. And then congratulations to all of you for being on this startup weekend, so taking the courage and time to spending your leisure time to solving real world problems. And don't forget that execution is everything. And how do we do it at Virtly? We start by defining our key hypotheses. So at Virtly, in the beginning, we had these 3 main hypotheses. First one, networking is one of the main reasons for people to attend events and conferences. And this is still valid, and it's really the #1 reason for people to go to the events. Another hypothesis that we had, okay, event attendees like to network with others, but also in a virtual world. And the last one, it's people are willing to start a video call with someone that they don't know. So we had these 3 hypotheses. We start to develop it and put the product live and start evaluating if this makes sense or not. And we start to see, based on the data, that maybe the second hypothesis was not so true. Event attendees like to network with others. We start to see from the initial events that we had that no one was talking with the other people. We start to put, why is it happening? It's because they are talking with strangers. It's because they need to select someone to talk to. Because at that time, we didn't have any topic rooms. So that's why by starting to thinking on that and evaluating the data that we received, that we could, okay, this is maybe not making so much sense to have the interface and the product like allowing someone just to pick someone else and start talking as you would do in a real world. But maybe you need to focus more on the topic rooms. People gather together based on a common interest, but not because of who's talking with. So with these hypotheses and this early development, we could gather the feedback and validate them. And how can you validate your hypotheses? One way is using customer interviews, being close to your customers, being really close to your users, understand how they use your product. For example, in the months of April to May, we run a lot of interviews with the people that were running events on our platform, but not only the organizers, but also the people that were attending events to understand exactly the bottlenecks. Something else that we did is to do feasibility tests. Like we define, we schedule a call with someone, some friends, and we ask them to execute an action. For example, enter into Virtly and start talking with the person. And we ask them what you think, what are you seeing now, what's in your mind, and start understanding how the users really interact with your product. And that was invaluable feedback that we gather with these tests, and it doesn't cost a lot of time for you to do it. So I strongly suggest that you really talk with the people that is using the products. Another approach that you have, it's a lean startup approach, is fake it until you make it. For example, we are a video conferencing tool, but we are not developing the video tool. We are integrating with open source projects that allows us to go fast. And by integrating different tools and kind of faking it, it allows us to have a product ready to be used. Another approach that we have followed is by defining prototypes. So based on the customer interviews and feedback that we received, we start to see that, okay, our user experience is not yet nailed. We don't know, we cannot really have our users to perform the tasks that they need to do. Okay, so we define a new prototype, a new UI, a quickly one, did it in a couple of hours. On Figma, just copy paste some icons, and then we schedule new interviews with new people that have never used nor Virtually, nor any product like that. So we ask them, okay, in the new UI, how would you do that? And we see if people could figure out it easier. So you have many options to validate your key hypothesis, but you really need to do it and start building fast. Based on all these, based on building these features fast, you would gather a lot of data from the users, from the system. Everything that you gather will allow you to improve your product. So at Virtually, we think that building and analyzing this data is much more important than discussion about assumptions. So instead of having endless discussions about new features, we prefer just to build, measure, and learn. Some examples, we talk already about this UI that we changed in the middle completely. The chat functionality. We had, when we were designing the new UI, before we had the chat on the right side. With the new UI, some people in team say, okay, no, the chat still needs to be on the right side. Some other people say that, no, the chat needs to be on the left side. And okay, it doesn't make sense to do that way on the right side or vice versa. But we decide, okay, we are doing everything now on the left of the interface. So let's try to put the chat there on the left and see if it works. And it worked. And now we are not going to remove the chat and spend more time developing the bar on the right side. So this type of approach is really, really essential. But we have talked a lot about the product and the features themselves, interaction with the users, but this approach can also be handled on the go-to-market and on the business side. In the beginning, we thought, okay, we have different possibilities to monetize our platform. We can monetize it, for example, maybe from the attendees. Attendees are getting more value than, that was one of the hypotheses that we had, that attendees are getting more value than in real networking, because you can get much more information from the people, the person that you are talking with, because you can get to their social profiles, they can share more information, so you have less cold introductions in the beginning. So we could maybe short from the participants. When we go to develop the platform, we really see that was no possibility to get some revenue from the participants directly. So we focus on having the organizers as our customers and focus on that part. And now we are seeing a good traction on the reselling model. So people want to have our platform as white label and organizing on their regions, creating a platform to organize events on their regions. So instead of being organizers, they are just event organizers to others. So always being flexible to change and to evaluate and be agile in this approach. So don't forget, build, measure, and learn, and iterate. And in order to do that, you need to develop fast. So you need to always to have a potential shippable product increment. It's the 80-20 rule that everybody knows. You spend 20% of the time to develop 80% of the value. So as a startup, you cannot afford to spend 20% of the time or 80% of your time on just 20% of the value. So most of our features are not fully completed, are not perfect, because we cannot afford to have that. We need to go fast, we need to develop more and more. And afterwards, once we grow, then we will polish everything. And we have some examples as well. We have the pools. The pools, I don't know if you have already used it, but it's very basic feature. It's just one option, not many votes, and you cannot see who vote on what. Now we have some disabled functionality for organizers to see that we are going to implement those features, but they are not yet available. So we'll get the feedback from them and then develop based on that. The chat was another incremental approach that we had. So we had a very basic chat that would allow us just to ask questions, interact, just some text and send. Then we start improving it. We put some notifications. If you are scrolling, you have some new message coming, you have notification, we have emojis. And now the next step is to have private chat, like you want to send a message to someone else in the platform. The lobby. You can see the lobby, it's super basic. It's just the event page. We need to have something as an entry point of the platform, but we could develop 1,000 features on the log. We could develop an agenda, we could develop a speakers, a biography, the sponsors, the what's happening now, the different rooms, the people that are online, and have that in a entry point. But this would take a lot of time. So okay, we already have the description of the event, so let's put that. That allows the organizers to change it dynamically if they want. So we give this first approach. Next step is to improve and then new features on top of that. The rooms is another quick example. The first version just had a title. Now we can also add a description where you can put whatever you want. So in your case, you put the description of each team, the project that you are working on, which is great. People, before entering the room, can already get more feedback of what's happening there. So don't forget, release the first basic version of your feature quickly, and use the data and the live feedback from the customer to further enhance it. And to end on a business side, be bold and start charging early. We had a call with Adam Draper this week from venture capital in the US, and he said startups should start charging much earlier and much more, because even if it's not perfect, you can already start charging. You can start also validating your hypothesis on the market side and see if there's traction. Because what could be worse than developing a product for 1 year, and then when you start charging, no one would buy it, even if you launch it. So we have started launching a free version while developing the premium features, but we are starting to charge our customers now in the month of July and having our first paid customers. So as a summary, define and validate your key hypothesis, develop fast and not perfect, and learn from your data, from your customer, users, and iterate. Every week, every day, iterate and develop new features. So start now and start simple. Thank you very much. I cannot hear you, Rami.
Thank you, Joao. Thank you for the very interesting inspiration talk about failing fast. And Joao is the co-founder of Wordly. Joao, are you the CTO?
We have not defined the roles. So me and Alex, we are working very closely together. So I'm focused on the technical side. Yes, I'm the one that will develop most of the features together with the help of some of Arish, the developer that is working with us.
Okay, so we have now some time. Wir haben jetzt ein bisschen Zeit, um noch Fragen zu stellen, und ich schaue noch auf unser Tool, auf Wordly, ob da schon Fragen hereingekommen sind, und ansonsten würde ich gleich eine Frage stellen. So if the crowd, our community, doesn't have any question right now, maybe they want to reach out to you later. Are you available on Slack sometime?
Yes, I can be available on Slack. Don't hesitate to ping me there.
Wonderful.
Or find me on the Wordly.
Sure, of course. So my question would be, how did you find your co-founder? So where did you start looking, or how did this happen? Wo habt ihr euch gefunden, du und dein Co-founder?
Last year, back in June, so 1 year ago, I was participating on an hackathon, a blockchain hackathon in Zurich. I went there with some friends to develop a project. And during the party before the starting of the hackathon, we were talking with people, and Alex was there, and we started talking with him. So he joined our team for this project. And then after the event, after the hackathon, it's usually you have those that want to keep going and keep developing, and those that went just to learn and to have some fun during the hackathon. So afterwards, me and Alex wanted to continue the project, and it was Padly. And we joined with that project. We joined this incubation program in Switzerland. And so we have been constantly working together since June last year.
Interesting that you found each other during a hackathon. So to our startups, don't miss the opportunity to stay with us during the whole weekend, because you never know, maybe your co-founder is in the room, right?
Exactly. It's a very good opportunity to start finding people to work with. But for me, also from my experience from the past, it's hard to get someone that you really can work with. So it's not only working on the hackathon, but you need to keep working afterwards and see how you can work together, because it's the long term that will really make you succeed.
So we have one question from Lucas, but before I ask his question, I would end my question with another short one. So in the startup language, we have this language or this word called a lean startup. And maybe we're also very lean persons. This means that we just execute and do not stick too much on perfection. Who of you, either you, Joao, or your co-founder, Alex, who is more lean and who is more the perfectionist, and how do you solve this, or how do you bridge this, or are you the same?
We are very close on that approach. Maybe I'm a little bit more perfect on the development side, because I'm also doing the development, so I have some leverage on that side. On the other side, I really know that I cannot have the perfect product, even if it's making me sad, because seeing some errors, it's not good, but they are there and they happen, and you just need to react afterwards.
Okay, also meine Frage kurz noch auf Deutsch war, weil wenn man ein Startup zu zweit gründet und man fährt diesen Fail Fast und diesen Lean-Prozess, wo man immer sofort wieder rausgeht mit neuen Entwicklungen, ohne so lange sich mit Perfektion aufzuhalten, dann war jetzt meine Frage, wie Sie das schaffen, wenn eine Persönlichkeit mehr perfektionistisch ist und die andere einfach gern delivert. Seine Antwort war, sie sind da sehr, sehr ähnlich gestrickt und er ist noch eher der Perfektionist, aber sie schaffen es dann irgendwie doch auf einen Nenner zu kommen. Okay, so now we have the question of Lucas. He raised it invertly, and I invite all the others to also have questions in the Wordly chat. Lucas is asking, what motivates you and what does success mean to you?
For me, what motivates me the most is seeing people using what we build. Really, that's seeing 30 people, 60 people on the event using the platform and having fun together with what we built. That for me, it's really what motivates me the most when I'm developing and building new products. And success, it's also very linked to the usage, but it also will need to be, in order to have a sustainable product, it also need to be linked to the business side and see if we can monetize this product and the application and making it sustainable.
So this means you're very happy right now that you see many people on your Wordly tool, us using it.
Yeah, no, that's I'm very proud to see at least 40 people watching the presentation and being able to share my experience. This is awesome.
Yes, and even more are watching it on Facebook Live right now, because this is also a very good combination that you made with StreamYard. So congratulations on that as well. That works out very smoothly.
Thank you.
Then we have another question. It's coming.
From Ernest?
Yes. Okay. So Ernst is asking, how much do you look on competitors, for example, Hopin, and their progress?
That's a very nice question, and it's always very important for startups. You need to look into the competition and see what's happening on your field. And every day, it's especially because of this world pandemic situation, every day are new tools coming and new things new video conferencing tools in this space. In particular, for example, Opin, we have close competitors like Opin, Airmeet, Remo that are also focusing on this networking experience. And you have other ones that are not so close, but we still need to keep an eye on and evaluate, like Zoom, like Google Hangouts, like Teams. And in particular, the ones that are close to us, we start to attend events on their platforms, start seeing how they run the events, how people can interact with each other, and getting ideas from there. We had different people on the team that were watching different events, taking screenshots, making small videos, and providing feedback on when they use the platform. So this was super important for us, especially when we had the first version, where the UI was not super smooth or super nailed down for the users, and then we need to define a new one. So having the feedback from all the other competitors, this was super important for us to build our own new UI instead of defining only from our minds. Because if someone is already doing something in a certain way, so we can also try in a similar way. And then it's also depends on style. For example, Opin has a more cleaner style that Remo and Airmeet, and that's the style that we have more preference to. So that's also why we have a closer UI to Opin.
Okay, it's also interesting how we met, because your co-founder Alex was at the Startup Salzburg demo day where they used Hopin, and I was posting something in the chat, and then he came back to me, and so he somehow was either testing Hopin or starting to making contacts with startup communities, and I think that's really nice approach of you.
Yeah, it's the two ways, because by attending these type of events, you win on the two sides, like getting feedback and having potential people interest on the similar platforms. So that's one of the ways that we are getting traction, is by Alex is doing a great job on that side, is to be in contact with other events, attend other events, and kind of hijacking and pushing virtually also for the other people.
Yeah.
You need to be aggressive as well.
Yeah. So attention to the startups that are with us this weekend. Do not hesitate to use your competitors to hack a system or to get in contact with your customers, right?
Exactly. That's I think the contact with the customers is the most important part, because it's where you get the feedback.
You have awesome birds in your background.
Thanks. Yeah, I have the window open, otherwise I would be melting.
No, it sounds really inspiring. So we have another question from Sonia. Where do you see Wordly in 5 years? What makes it outstanding?
That's a very tricky question to answer, as we are failing fast. We are always changing. So it's really hard to really predict what's going to be in 5 years. My goal and our vision is really to create engaging events to the organizers and to the attendees, so that people can really interact with each other. And we don't know yet exactly how this is going to look like in 5 years, but we want to be one of the main platforms in the event space, especially on the virtual ones, but together with the hybrid, because right now everything is running virtually, but in some months or in some years, things will go back slightly to normal. So we also we predict that we're going to have a lot of hybrid events. And the way we are building the platform is also with that in mind, so that we can that we can accommodate the two worlds and still get a fraction from the events that are running physically, and link them together with the virtual attendees.
Okay. Then now we have many questions coming in. Sartaj. Hello, Sartaj. Nice to have you with us. Sartaj from India, Bangalore. How do you approach funding in this current environment? How do you ensure longevity?
We are not yet funded. We didn't get any funding, so we are bootstrapping still. I think that's a good way also to start. It's tricky because you need to have time. You need to spend extra hours at night, don't sleep that much, and develop your product. But we have the opportunity to be able to bootstrap it from without any funding. So this helps or this gives you more leverage, and that's what we are trying to do. We are now trying to get revenue, and after getting revenue, prove that this works, and from there getting funding. So we have started approaching some VCs, but we have not. That's not yet our main key focus. So I don't have that much experience with the current environment. I've heard that there's less funding available these times, but if you have a good product and if you have a good traction, you will make it.
Okay. Then we have another question. Hello, welcome Andra from the Netherlands. It's awesome having you with us. Her question is, what has been the most interesting moral, ethical question you have dealt with so far, and why?
We had received a lot of questions, especially here in Europe with GDPR. It's how GDPR compliant you are, and all these privacy data, especially taking into account with what's happening on Zoom. And this one was the question that's more on the ethical space that we have had so far, and we are able to. If customers want, we can host the event on Europe. We have a solution that allows us to host the event independently than the main platform if that's needed, and be completely compliant on that front. I think that's a closest example that we have so far. Alex may have better answer for that question. So maybe you can ask and talk with him later, because he's in much more contact with the customers. So maybe he has some nice questions coming from them.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been very interesting, and also the answers are very interesting. Thanks for raising them. I think now there is no more question coming in. And I think we are already perfect with our timing. We wanted to have 30 minutes on it. Now we had 30 minutes on it. Joao, thank you so much for taking your time. I know you're very busy these days, a lot of competition and a lot of things to develop and test and fail fast. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. And I hope we see each other during the weekends at Slack, at Wordly, in some rooms or at the chat, and have a nice day. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us and trusting Wordly. It's we are looking forward to the feedback of everybody, the users and the organizers. So thank you very much for trusting us. And I wish you good luck on all the projects. Looking forward to see what you're gonna build in these 2 days. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you. So, das war jetzt Joao, Co-Founder von Wordly, und alle, die jetzt erst zugestiegen sind. Wordly ist ein Online-Konferenzen-Tool, nämlich dieses, das wir jetzt gerade verwenden bei unserem Startup Salzburg Weekend 2020, weil wir dieses Jahr eine reine Online-Edition aus dem Startup Weekend gemacht haben. Und wir befinden uns heute am Tag 2 unseres Startup Weekends. Ich werde jetzt meinen Screen mit euch teilen, um euch zu zeigen, was wir heute vorhaben. So, welcome again. Willkommen noch einmal zum Tag 2, zum Samstag des Startup Salzburg Weekend 2020. Mein Name ist Romy Siegel und ich darf euch ein bisschen auch durch dieses Wochenende begleiten. Wir hatten jetzt eben gerade bei uns Mentor Nummer 23. Er war in dieser Live-Session live zugeschaltet über Wordly. Wir haben es broadcastet über StreamYard für alle, die das interessiert, wie wir das technisch gelöst haben. Eine ganz tolle Kombination aus diesen zwei Tools, die es sehr einfach ermöglicht, eine Videokonferenz live auf Facebook zu streamen. Und sein Vortrag war zum Thema Fail Fast. Er hat uns tolle Insights gegeben. Wer jetzt erst neu dazu stößt, ihr könnt euch das über Facebook dann später auch noch ansehen, was er uns hier alles erzählt und ja, sehr interessant mitgegeben hat auf den Weg, speziell an die Startups, die an diesem Wochenende dabei sind, nämlich nicht zu zögern, schnell rauszugehen, schnell Markttests, Marktfeedback einzuholen. Danke noch einmal an Joao, schöne Grüße in die Schweiz, wunderbar, dass wir euer Tool dieses Wochenende nutzen können. Dann, es geht weiter. Wir befinden uns jetzt ziemlich zeitgenau 9 Uhr am Eröffnungsmoment des Tag 2 und es ist ein toller Moment, denn jetzt ist der Moment, wo unsere Mentoren zu uns gestoßen sind, nachdem wir seit Mittwochabend unsere Teams formieren, denn eine Bedingung an diesem Wochenende teilzunehmen ist es, ein Team aus mindestens 2 bis 3 Personen, idealerweise 3 Personen gefunden zu haben in den letzten 48 Stunden. Wir haben Teams auch teilweise mit 6 Personen, das freut uns besonders. Und wir machen jetzt heute weiter mit dem Startup Weekend mit sehr viel Input, mit sehr viel Teamarbeit und auch mit sehr viel Austausch mit den Mentoren. Die möchte ich euch natürlich nicht vorenthalten. Unsere Mentoren für heute. Und wir starten mit unseren internationalen Freunden. So we start with our international mentors because it's a special pleasure having you with us. Thanks for showing interest in what the startup scene in Salzburg is doing. So willkommen Andra Jakob aus Holland. Willkommen Abdelhamid Ahmed Sharara aus Ägypten. Willkommen Satash Anand aus Bangalore, Indien und willkommen Mo Salah aus Jordan. Dann weiter geht's. Die Mentoren, die ihr hier jetzt seht, sind unsere Team-Mentoren, denn am heutigen Tag bekommt jedes Startup-Team einen Team-Mentor zugeteilt. Die Teams wissen schon, welcher Team-Mentor sie heute begleitet. Es wurde auch schon erster Kontakt aufgenommen. Und weiter geht's mit unseren Team-Mentoren. Wir haben mit an Bord Alexandra Nagele, die Initiatorin der Fuck Up Nights, Sonja Schumacher, eine begnadete Organisationsstruktur- und Leadership-Entwicklerin. Wir haben bei uns Claudia Bruckschweiger. Sie wird später dann um 11:30 Uhr einen Vortrag geben zum Thema Prototyping und Market Feedback. Und wir haben bei uns die Initiatorin einer groß angelegten Social-Media-Kampagne, nämlich letzte Werbung, Katharina Wallmann. Dann, wir haben sehr viele Mentoren dieses Jahr aktivieren können. Ein weiterer Mentor, der ein Team begleitet, ist Martin Sternsberger. Danke, dass du dabei bist. Es ist Stefan Plätzer, ein neues Gesicht beim Startup Weekend. Es ist uns eine Ehre, dass du dich auf dieses Wochenende einlässt und ein Team coachst. Vielen Dank. Dann Daniel Pfeifenberger, der Gründer des Bienenhofs, ist sicher für alle diejenigen Ideen sehr gut geeignet als Mentor und sehr interessant, die etwas mit Social Impact am Hut haben. Und wir haben dabei Martin Karswurm. Dankeschön, dass du dir Zeit nimmst. Ja, die Liste der Mentoren an dem heutigen Tag ist wirklich sehr lang. Es freut uns, dabei zu haben Patrick Sellier, Gründer der Tauglerei, Serial Entrepreneur und ganz toller Feedbackgeber. Weiter mit Mentor Nummer 9, Thomas Weiß, ein sehr bekanntes Gesicht in der Salzburger Startup-Szene, der Gründer von Authentic Vision, der den Startup-Traum eigentlich so richtig lebt, von einer Idee am Schreibtisch zu einem großen internationalen Team herangewachsen. Gratulation an dieser Stelle. Er ist auch schon von Anfang an immer unterstützend in der Startup-Szene als Mentor dabei gewesen. Danke. Weiter geht's mit Mentor Nummer 19, Thomas Peruzzi. Auch er unterstützt das Startup Weekend jedes Jahr mit seiner Mentorship und auch als Jury-Member. Herzlichen Dank. Thomas Peruzzi ist Business Angel, ist Board-Member der Virtual Minds Group und kennt sich in allen Sachlagen, wo es um Medien, wo es um Bewertung von Startups, Ideen geht, sehr gut aus. Es sind noch neue Mentoren hinzugestoßen und wir hatten dann gar keine Chance mehr, alles noch grafisch aufzubereiten, weil es dann so viel wurden. Lorenz Maschke, Dusan Milekic und Roman. Danke, Roman, dass du dabei bist. Ja, die Mentoren werden sich jetzt mit unseren Teams treffen. Liebe Mentoren, ihr könnt das entweder in unseren Wordly-Teamräumen machen. Die findet ihr, wenn ihr auf dem linken Balken, dort wo Helpdesk auch steht, in die Teamräume hineinklickt und dort seht ihr dann für jedes Startup-Team einen Teamraum angelegt. Und es wäre ganz großartig, wenn ihr euch heute über den Business Model Canvas unterhaltet und auch reflektiert, was ist denn der Plan des Startups, was ist der Progress und was ist der Pain, also wo ist der größte Schmerz im Moment, denn dort könnt ihr sicher am besten mithelfen, dieses Startup Weekend so gut wie möglich zu nutzen, um eben Fortschritte zu erzielen. Ich mache jetzt meine Präsentation wieder aus, denn so viel war es einmal zur Eröffnung des Tag 2. Habe ich hier nichts vergessen? Okay. Hier gibt es noch einen Ausblick auf Sonntag für alle, die jetzt über Facebook zusehen. Wir freuen uns natürlich sehr, wenn ihr morgen um 16 Uhr wieder bei uns vorbeischaut. Dafür bitten wir euch zu registrieren, denn wir wollen unsere Ideen nicht so der Öffentlichkeit aussetzen, wie wir das jetzt im Moment gerade über Facebook Live machen. Wir möchten Ihnen einen geschützten Rahmen bieten und dafür bitten wir euch zu registrieren, denn dann können wir euch den Link zu unserem Pitchraum auf Wordly zukommen lassen. Ja, jetzt sind wir fertig von meiner Präsentationsseite und that's it for the moment from my side. Wir wünschen euch viel Spaß mit euren Team-Mentoren und bei Fragen könnt ihr euch jederzeit an uns melden. So it was fantastic. Muss noch schauen, was hier in den Kommentaren noch reingekommen ist, ob da noch was Wichtiges ist. Nein, ich glaube, wir können das jetzt so beenden an dieser Stelle und melden uns dann später wieder bei euch. Viel Spaß. Bye for now.